Hi everyone, I'm Lauren. I'm here today to do a haul video for June 2019. I have a lot of books this month. Most of these I bought for some kind of readathon actually, one of which I'll be participating in next month and I'll be talking about that later. Some of these purchases were for a year-long readathon on r/fantasy. They have a year-long book bingo from April 1st to March 31st of the following year, and it's just like essentially 25 different prompts, and if you get a line you get a drawing for prize, and if you get all 25 you get bragging rights. You technically get a flare, but that's bragging rights. So I have a lot to get through. Enough babbling, let's just get on with it. The first book I purchased was a Kindle version of The Thief Who Pulled on Trouble's Braids by Michael McClung. It's the first book in a series. I forgot the name of it. I think it's just the name of the main character, which I also forgot the name of. The first book is about a thief. She is given a golden frog statue from a friend and is asked to take care of it until the morning. Well, morning comes, friend doesn't come back, haha, he's murdered. And so the whole thing is trying to figure out who murdered him, why would you murder someone for the statue, and book. I won't go into too much detail about how I felt about it, but let's just say I thought it was fine. Okay, the next book I have is Artificial Condition by Martha Wells, and it's the second book in the Murderbot series. These are all sci-fi books. It stars this Murderbot character who's a cyborg thing. I think he's not supposed to have free will, but he ends up accidentally gaining it, and he just wants to lay around and watch his media, but he has to kind of pass as a normal cyborg thing. I already read this book, so I'll be talking about this in a different video, but I'll just say it's really good. The next book I have is another novella, and that is Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire. I don't know if that's how you pronounce it. This one, it's about these different doors that kids find, and when they enter them, they go into a different world. The worlds that they find kind of vary from super dark and creepy and weird and more whimsical and crazy kind of worlds. The story revolves around a bunch of these kids who have gone to these worlds and come back, and they want to go back to these worlds, but their parents think they're crazy, they don't know what they're talking about, and so they send their kids to a special school. From the parents' side, the school is supposed to rehabilitate them, and from the student side, it's actually meant to have them come to terms with them coming back to the real world, quote unquote, and come to terms with the fact that they might not go. That was long-winded for such a small book. I've already read this. I won't go too much more detail than that. You'll see more thoughts later. That's the plan anyway. For the next few books, my husband bought me a few things. First up, Rise of Empire by Michael J. Sullivan. This is the second bind-up in the Rivia Revelations series. This is actually two books in one. It's the Nifron Rising and the Emerald Storm. I finished up Theft of Swords this month, and I'll talk about that later. So I wanted to buy more of them, and my husband offered to buy me the next one. So here it is. I am really looking forward to reading this, because in Theft of Swords it stars Royce and Hadrian, who are two mercenaries, assassin-y type guys, I don't know, and they're both really great. They're both really badass at what they do. They both really bounce off each other really great. They have really great synergy, and that's what I really love about Theft of Swords. I'll talk about that more. So this is just more of that from what I understand, so I'm really looking forward to this. The two other books that my husband bought for me are both in the same series, and it's manga, yay! He got me Buddha Volume 1, and Buddha Volume 2, both by Osamu Tezuka. Now technically I already have a copy of this, but it was in really rough condition. It was really yellowed and stained and gross. So I was planning on getting a new copy of this. So here we go, finally got a new copy. Thank you, husband. I've already read the first volume, but I haven't read the second, and I think there's 7 or 8 volumes total. So I need to catch up, obviously, on that. I can't really explain the plot very well because it's very weird and more spiritual, and it's hard to explain, but it kind of revolves around Buddha, as you might imagine. But the first book doesn't even have Buddha. It doesn't really help that the synopsis on the back doesn't really say anything about the plot. Let me just say that Osamu Tezuka, he tends to write kind of weird and silly, but also really serious and crazy. So that's why I wanted to pick up the other volume. I have 2 more manga volumes to show. I have Assassination Classroom, Volume 11, by Yusei Matsui. This is about an alien who comes down to Earth, and he's impossible to kill. He moves really, really fast. I think it's like Mach 11 or something crazy. He's immune to most bullets, and he's just insanely hard to kill. The alien says, hey, I'll stay in one place for a year on the condition that you let me teach a high school class. Of course, the government agrees, and so the class that he's teaching has to try and kill him. Hence, Assassination Classroom. I'm actually not this far in the manga. I think I'm only on the 6th or 7th volume. I have a lot of catching up to do, considering that there's 21 volumes. This was the next volume that I didn't own, so hey, picked it up. The last manga that I have to show for this month is Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, Volume 2, by Kyo Shinja. I don't think that's his actual name, but it's still really hard to pronounce. This is just a really cute, funny, slice of life-y type comedy thing. It's about this woman who comes across a dragon who is dressed up in the maid uniform and is like, hey, I want to serve you, and shenanigans ensue, I guess. It's pretty simple plot, but I really like it. I just wish it was a little bit thicker. It's like on the really thin side, but hey, it's kind of fun. At least the first volume was pretty fun, so I wanted to continue with the next one. The next one I have is an oldie, but it is definitely a goodie. That is The Thief by Megan Welland Turner. This is the first book in the Queen's Thief series. This particular one is about a really skilled thief named Gen, and he is tasked to steal some really important treasure, and that's kind of it. I've read this book a few years ago, and I didn't have a physical copy, so wanted to pick it up. I also wanted to pick it up because the series is finally coming to a conclusion in 2020, and I've only read the first book, but I really, really love it. One thing I will mention about this, though, is that this is such an ugly cover. It's like browns and gross. Barf green and like poo color. I don't know if that comes out very well, but it's just gross. Only reason why I got this version is it's the only hardcover version I could get. And I love hardcovers. Also, no matter if you get all paperbacks or all hardcovers, there's gonna be mismatching ones. There's no consistency, and I hate it, but this is a good book, read it. For the next book, it's a little bit weird, but let me show you. It's Sense and Sensibility and Sea Monsters by Jane Austen and Ben H. Winters. Sense and Sensibility is a classic novel by Jane Austen, written like Victorian era? I don't know the exact date. I don't remember the plot of the original Sense and Sensibility because I've only watched the movies years ago. This book takes Sense and Sensibility and kind of turns it on its head with like sea monsters and ocean battles and that kind of thing. And I thought that was so weird and so silly. I wanted to pick it up. I don't know much about it. Maybe it's really bad, but hey, I'm gonna give it a shot. The next book has actually a little bit of a weird backstory for me. That is The Fire Within by Chris DeLacy. This is the first book in a series which I forgot the name of the series. It's a middle grade series about a guy who rooms in with his family and there's dragons or something. The reason why I picked this up is that I read this in grade 5 or so. I hated it, and so I just read half of it, dropped it, read the second book, really loved it, and I may have read more than that, I don't really remember. I wanted to see if I was just a stupid 5th grader or if this is just really slow and really boring, and I don't know. I'm just kind of curious. I wanted to give it a shot. What can I say? I don't know much about the plot though, so can't tell you much about that. The next book I have is actually one that I don't know much about again, and it's kind of one I picked up on a whim a little bit. Keeper of the Lost Cities by Shannon Messenger. This is the first book in the Keeper of the Lost Cities series, and it stars this girl who is doing stuff, and then she's told she's an elf and gets whisked away to elf land or something. It just kind of sounded neat. I don't remember who said, but I remember watching some YouTuber, they said it was really good and they really loved it, and I just wanted to pick it up. I also really like elves, so give me elves and I'll pick it up probably, if it's actually good. I'll put their name or their link if I figure out who they are, but hopefully it's good. Woo. This book I also kind of picked up on a whim. This is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I don't remember what the series name is. I think it's The Shades of Magic, and this is the first book. It's about this world where there's 4 different Londons. They're kind of different planes of existence. There's Black London, which is fallen because of magic. There's Red London, which has a bunch of magic and it's doing really well. There's Grey London, which is just the real world, no magic. And there's White London. It's not doing well. The main character is one of the few that can travel between these different Londons. He finds this artifact which shouldn't exist, and he has to figure out how to destroy it. I've already read this. I'm not going to talk about it too much, but I really liked it. Also, the cover looks really, really good. Next up, Golden Hand by Garth Nix. This book is in the Abhorsen series. I don't remember which spot it is in, but it's the newest full-length Abhorsen book. This series features a bunch of different people who have the title of Abhorsen, and their job is to keep dead things dead. They use a bunch of different bells that do cool different things. A lot of the main characters in the series are really strong female characters, and they're really cool, and I really love these books. I also just really love Garth Nix in general, so that's why I picked this up. I'm not fully up to date. I need to reread some of the older ones and then read Clariel and then this one, but I just wanted to pick it up and make sure I had it. The final book that I have to show, I'm sure every one of you has heard of it, and that is The Well of Ascension by Brandon Sanderson. It's the second book in the Mistborn series. It'd be spoilers to talk about what this specific one is about, but as a whole, the series features people who can ingest metals and burn them inside themselves to do certain powery things. Most people who have these abilities can only ingest one metal, so like they can ingest copper or tin, that kind of thing. But there are also special people called Mistborn that can burn all metals. And these metals have certain abilities like strength, ability to sense better, and ability to push off of other metals, that kind of thing. In the first book, the cast is trying to throw down this ruler that nobody really likes, and they think he shouldn't be ruling anymore. And then this book takes place after the events of the first book. I've already started reading it, and I like it so far. I'm not very far into it though, like, it's a big book. And of course I got the hardcover edition, even though my husband already has it in mass market paperback. I don't like mass market paperback. And with that, that's all the books I have to show you. Thank you if you stuck around for so long. This is probably going to be a lengthy video. Have any of you read any of the books I showed today? Let me know in the comments or whatever else you feel like talking about. I hope I see you for another video. Bye!